Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, comment down below what you want to see in the future, click that subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on my post notifications. That way you beautiful people get notified every single time I upload a video. Also, I'm sorry if you hear a loud beeping noise in the background. I am in the process of making a cake, so once the oven gets ready, I have to go do that. But in today's video, we are going to be reading Chapter 24 of As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. If you don't already know, this is the third book in the series to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. But let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off of the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 24. The screaming was still there inside, inhuman and angry, trapped in Pip's bones, the sput, sput, sput of a phantom printer in her ears, both fighting against the gun in her heart. Not even a run could take them away or distract her, a run so hard she thought it might split her in two, all the violence and darkness within leaking out onto the pavement, checking over her shoulder for Max Hastings with his slicked back hair and his gloating eyes, but he hadn't been there. The run was a bad idea. Now she felt like she couldn't move, lying here on the rug in her bedroom. Cocooned in cold air, embalmed, she hadn't slept at all. She had taken the last of the Xanax almost immediately after her parents left her room last night. She closed her eyes, and time had skipped, but it hadn't felt like sleep. It felt like drowning. Now she had none, nothing at all, no crutch. There's my beeper. I will be right back. All right. Now she had none, nothing at all, no crutch. That got her to move, finally. Picking herself up, cold sweat in the waistline of her leggings, she staggered toward her desk, plugs hanging loose beneath it. She plugged everything in the room, the printer, the speakers, her laptop, her lamp, her phone charger, all lifeless, trailing wires. She opened the second drawer, snaked her hand inside, and pulled out the burner phone at the front of the line, the same she used to text Luke on Wednesday. It was Saturday now, and she still not heard back from him, and now she was all out. She turned on the phone and began to type, frustrated at how slow it was pressing 4 or 3 times just to get to I'm out, need more ASAP. Why hadn't Luke replied yet? He normally would have by now. This couldn't go wrong, too, not on top of everything else she had to sleep tonight. She could already feel her brain moving too slow, sluggish and connecting thought to thought. She placed the burner phone in the drawer, startled by a buzz from her real phone. Ravi again. You back from your run? He insisted on coming over when she called him earlier, still slurry from the pills as she told him about the printer and the speaker, but Pip said no. She needed to run to clear her head, and then she needed to go talk to Nat De Silva about her brother, alone. Ravi had eventually relented as long as she kept checking in with him all day. And there was no question about it. Pip was staying over at his house tonight, dinner too, no question at all. He told her in his serious voice. Pip supposed it was a sensible idea. But what if DT somehow knew? Look, one thing at a time. Tonight was a lifetime away, and so was Ravi. She texted him a quick yes, I'm fine, love you, but now she had to focus on her next task, talk to Nat. It was the first thing she had to do, and the last thing she wanted to. Talking to Nat, speaking it out loud, would make it real. Hey Nat, do you think it's at all possible that your brother is a serial killer? Yes, I know. I have a history of accusing you and your family members of murder. They were close now. She and Nat found family, found that is of violence and tragedy, but found nonetheless. Pip counted Nat on her fingers as one of the people who would look for her if she disappeared. Losing Nat would be far worse than losing that finger. What if this talk pushed the bond just a little too far, pushed it to a breaking point? But what choice did she have? All the signs were pointing to Daniel De Silva. He fit the profile. He used to work at Green Scene and could very well have been the one who set off the security alarm while Jason Bell was at a dinner party. His red flag interest in the case as a fellow officer, practically one of them, someone close to the Bells who Andy could have been afraid of, someone who had a reason to hate Pip. It all fit, the path of the least resistance, gunshots in her chest, quick couplets that sounded like DT, DT, DT. Pip glanced at her phone again. Fuck. How was it just past 3 o'clock? She hadn't emerged from her bed, the last safe place, until midday. The pills too heavy in her chest to stand before then, and then the run had been long, too long. Now she was hesitating, talking herself into it when she just needed to go. No time for a shower. She peeled off her sweaty top and replaced it with a gray hoodie, zipping it up over her sports bra. It didn't feel like mid-August outside today, the sun trapped behind a cover of cloud, the wind a little too insistent. Pip placed her water bottle and her keys in her open backpack and removed the USB microphones. This conversation with Nat was not one for anyone else's ears, ever. Then she remembered she was staying at Robbie's tonight. She grabbed a pair of underwear and some clothes for tomorrow, fetched her toothbrush from the bathroom, although she might actually come back here first to check the burner phone and see whether Luke had any pills for her. The idea was hot and shameful. Pip zipped up the bag and shouldered it, grabbing her headphones and her phone before she left the room. Going to see Nat, she told her mom at the bottom of the stairs, rubbing Stanley's blood off of her hands onto her dark leggings. Then, I'm going to the Sings for dinner, and I might stay over if that's okay. Oh yes, fine, her mom said, sighing as Josh started whining about something else from the living room. You'll have to be back tomorrow morning, though. We've told Josh we're going to Adventureland tomorrow, cheered him up for all of 2 seconds. Yeah, okay, Pip said. Sounds fun, bye. She hesitated by the front door. Love you, Mom. Oh, her mom looked surprised, turning back to her with a smile, one that reached into her eyes. I love you too, sweetie. See you in the morning, and say hi to Nisha and Mohan for me. Will do. Pip closed the front door. She glanced up at the brick wall beneath her window, standing exactly where he might have stood. It had rained again this morning, so she couldn't tell, but there were little white disembodied marks on the wall. Maybe they'd always been there, maybe they hadn't. She hesitated by her car and then walked on past it. She shouldn't drive. It probably wasn't safe. The pills were still in her system, weighing her down, and the world felt almost like a dream unrolling around her, out of time, out of place. She placed her headphones over her ears as she left the drive and started walking down Thatcher Road. She didn't even want to listen to anything, just flicked on the noise cancellation button and tried to float in the free, untethered place again. Disappeared. Where the gunshots and the sput and the screaming music couldn't find her. Down Main Street, past the bookseller and the library, past the cafe and Clara inside, handing someone 2 takeout cups, and Pip could read the words on her best friend's lips. Careful, they're hot. But Pip couldn't stop. Past Church Street on her left, which meant round the corner, up to the Bell's house. But Andy wasn't in that house. She was here now with Pip. Turn right down Chalk Road and onto Cross Lane. The trees shivered above her. They always seemed to do that. Here they knew something she didn't. She walked halfway up, her eyes fixating on the painted blue door as it came into view, Nat's house. She didn't want to do this. She had to do this. This deadly game between her and DT led her here, and she was one move behind. She stopped on the sidewalk just in front of the house, let her backpack fall onto the crook of one elbow as she placed her headphones inside, zipped it back up, took a breath, and edged toward the front path. Her phone rang, in the pocket of her hoodie, vibrating against her hip. Pip's hand darted into the pocket, fumbled with the phone as she pulled it out and stared down at the screen. No caller ID. Her heart dragged its way back up her spine. This was him. She knew it. DT. And now she had him. Checkmate. Pip hurried past Nat's house, the phone still buzzing against her cupped hands. Out of sight of the De Silva's house, she held it up and pressed the side button twice to redirect the incoming call to Call Trapper. The phone went dark. 1 step, 2, 3. The screen lit up again with an incoming call, only this time it didn't say no caller ID. A cell phone number scrolled across the top of her screen unmasked, a number Pip didn't recognize, but that didn't matter. It was a direct link to DT, to Daniel De Silva, concrete evidence. Game over. She didn't need to accept the call, she just could let it ring out, but her thumb was already moving to the green button, pressing against it and bringing the phone up to her ear. Hello, DT, Pip said, walking down Cross Lane to where the houses faded away and the trees thickened over the road. They weren't just shivering anymore, they were waving to her. Or do you prefer the Stratford Strangler? A sound down the line, jagged yet soft. It wasn't the wind, it was him breathing. He didn't know it was game over, and she already won. That this third and final call was his fatal flaw. I prefer DT, I think, Pip said. It's more fitting, especially as you're not from Stratford. You're from here, Fairview, Pip carried on, the canopy now hiding the stifled sun from her, a road of flickering shadows. I enjoyed your trick last night, very impressive, and I know you have a question for me. You want to know who would look for me if I've disappeared, but I have a question for you instead. She paused. Another breath down the line, he was waiting. Who will visit you when you're in a cage? She asked, because that's where you're going. A guttural sound down the line, the breath stuck in his throat, 3 loud beeps in Pip's ear. He ended the call. Pip stared down at her phone, the corners of her mouth stretching in almost a smile. Got him. The relief was instant, prying up the terrible weight from her shoulders, tethering her back to the world, the real world, a normal life, Team Robbie and Pip. She couldn't wait to tell him. It was within her grasp, and now she had to reach out and take it. A sound somewhere between a cough and a loud pushed through her lips. She navigated into her recent calls menu, and her eyes flicked across his phone number again. It was most likely a burner phone, considering he'd never been caught before, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was his actual phone, and maybe he picked it up without thinking. Answer with his name, or a voicemail would give it away. Pip could go to Hawkins with this number right now, but she wanted to know first. She wanted to be the one to find him, to finally know his name and to know all of it. Daniel De Silva, DT, the Strangler, she'd earned that. She'd won. And maybe he should know what it feels like, the fear of uncertainty, his screen lighting up with no caller ID, the hesitation between answering and not. He wouldn't know it was her. She would be masked just like him. Still walking down the road beneath the deepening trees, Nat's house forgotten long behind her. Pip copied and pasted his phone number into her keypad before the number she typed in, *6-7, the mask. Her thumb fizzed as it hovered over the green button. This was it, the moment. She pressed the button, raised the phone to her ear once more. She heard it ringing through the phone. But wait, no, this wasn't right. Pip stopped walking, lowered the phone. It wasn't only through her phone. She could hear it ringing. It was in the other ear, both of them. It was here. The shrill chime of the call ringing right behind her, louder and louder. There wasn't time to scream. Pip tried to turn, to see, but 2 arms reached out of the unknown behind her, took her, phone still ringing as she dropped hers. A hand collided with her face over her mouth, blocking the scream before it could live. An arm around her neck, bent at the elbow, tightening. Pip struggled, one breath but no air. She tried to rip his arm away from her neck, his hand away from her mouth, but she was weakening, her hand emptying, no air, cut off at the neck. Shadows depended around her. She struggled. Breathe. Just breathe. She couldn't. Explosions behind her eyes. She tried again and felt herself separating from her own body, peeling away. Darkness, and her disappearing down with it. That is the end of chapter 24. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!